Hey, what's up, everybody? Scotty, GLL, coming at you with another special edition. This is me and D, one of my good friends and clients, and we've been working with each other for about 6 months now. And I think there's been a massive transformation in this guy's game and ability, and what he's been able to accomplish has been just mind blowing, man. So, without further ado, D, well, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to talk about it because we always said about a 6 month timeline, and you're going to see a massive daily transformation. And now we're getting real feedback from these chicks, from super hot Miami chicks that we're just snagging either at that rooftop, really high end bar, or just during the day walking around, and they're all reacting similarly. The goal when I first came to you, I said, look, I don't really have much on the approach anxiety stuff, but I'm not getting a whole lot of these chicks out on dates. It's just a really poor conversion. And when I'm getting them out, it's not leading anywhere. And when I'm doing online dating, I'm not matching with the chicks that I really want. So, the level one, to take it just all the way back, the very first time I ever worked with you, I remember there was this hot blonde chick that was doing some work or grabbing something to eat by herself at Moxie's or something like that. And you said, "Hey, man, if you want to open, if that's your type," and I said, "Sure." And I went over and I did my normal thing and got her phone number after 4 or 5 minutes, and I kind of looked at you like, "Hey, how about that? What do you think of this guy? I'm a little different than anybody that you've worked with." And you said, yeah, dude, that was really good. I'd say it's like a 4.5 or 5 out of 10 interest level. And I said, how did you know? This is what's happening over and over. And that's when you said, well, let's get into it. And it took me, what would you say, probably the first 2 days. You did always say I would take instruction and immediately apply it, or at least try to immediately apply it.
Yeah, that's one thing you're really good at, and I think that's why you're at the level in which you're at, and not just in the dating realm, but also the business realm. You've crushed in that department as well. So yeah, you're really good at listening, taking instruction immediately. I'm talking about immediately implementing it. Sometimes if I pull D aside and say, like, dude, you have to do this, like the he'll the next shot, he's doing it right away, and he's noticing immediate results. That's one of the it just brings me so much joy to see that, because that's usually not the case. If I'm going to be completely honest, just because I'm saying, like, do this, and it's a very difficult thing that I'll be saying. Like, what's one example of this? I think it was just more authoritative sets, and almost making it a sense of urgency also, because, like, you again, calibration, like, if there's high velocity of women walking in Brickell, it's going to take a little bit more than just a hey, how are you over your shoulder, or even a weak one stepper. Let me get in their way, and then they usually just blow past you. So it was like, you have to give it a sense of urgency along with that authoritative stop, dead in the eyes, almost sometimes like, listen, this is super important, almost dramatize it a little bit so that they're like, whoa, okay, let me listen. Anything to get them out of their automation, which is to keep going. Doesn't matter if it's a Chad, nothing. A lot of these girls are just on autopilot and socially taught to just keep the wheels going no matter what, walk away from strangers. So you have to really blow them off their socks, blow them out of their socks with an authoritative stop. You know what I mean? And
And
that
you
was
taught me
one.
how to, yeah,
Yeah,
you
that
taught me
was
how to
one
do that.
particular thing that you implemented right away.
You also told me no excuses. If she's a hot chick and she's on the phone, or she's got sunglasses on and listening to music and just clearly projecting, the world offers nothing for me. I'm the princess of Miami and I'm going where I want to go. You got to break her out of that. And I think I just immediately said something like, well, get off the phone, this is way more important. And they do it. They they do it for
Yeah.
now 46-year-old guy, and these are 20 something Miami hotties. So that was one near immediate improvement that we made. But after that, I wanted Scotty to really drill down start to finish. It's like, okay, the front end of this is looking better and better, but I'm still a big believer in, if you run the front of the interaction properly, you're not going to need a lot of the gamey tech stuff. You're not going to need to worry about when she's going to hit you back. You're not going to need to worry about any of that. So what I really want to get into is the last session that me and Scotty had together. It was an evening and then a day. It was something that we had really never done before. We went immediately to a high-end venue in Brickell for the evening. We were there for just 3.5 hours, I think, maximum. And a couple of things. One, I was immediately 11 for 16. With like, none of these chicks really blew me out a lot, and I was being heavily aggressive, I thought. And then number two is, Gotti is like an Olympic coach for this stuff. Me and my boy, we'll call him Jay. We do a pretty good job of just getting to work. We have a fun time, but we'll grab a drink. We'll do a breather for 4 or 5 minutes. If there's just a 2 or 3 minute downtime, Scotty will look at me and say, what are we doing here, bro? You should be ripping open sets. Look at all these hot chicks in here that are all your type. And I said, you're right. And that is another thing that you guys simply need to see to believe. When Scotty says he'll just rip through a venue until he finds the chick that he wants, that's not much of an exaggeration. He's this tatted up hurricane just wrecking his way through the venue, and then he just gets what he wants. And then that's it. That's the night. It's like mission accomplished.
Emphasis on
And
night game too, because not that important, but I'm not a bit. Well, it is important. I'm not a big night game fan. I don't enjoy it. We're not there to hang out because there's a lot of societal pressure there to just be a part of the crowd, have a couple drinks, relax. So you have to kind of go up against that resistance. And it's like, no, I'm here for strictly business, and I'm not here to socialize and hang out with these guys. And to me, it's a very toxic environment. I should be home sleeping or relaxing with my dog. So it's like, I don't know. I'm over the whole nightclub scene. I've never been a huge fan. I definitely was into it more as a younger guy, but especially now as you get up in age, it is important to target places that are sustainable over the long haul, and that's kind of what we
you're right.
target. But we
You're
just
right.
been our issue lately has been a volume thing a little bit, and we wanted to run through a lot of sets, so we had to kind of compromise a little bit and go with it, because that's where the volume was definitely going to be, without a doubt.
Well, and
So
it wasn't much of a compromise. I mean, this is the height of the off season, so a lot of people, it's oppressively hot and humid down here. A lot of people head up north. They're just not really out and about as much, but they still go out at night. And to just burn through 16 chicks. I mean, I think in the very first interaction, I sat down with some hot blonde and brunette. I took the blonde. Your buddy, another D, took the brunette. And you were pointing out to him, you were like, look at that. D's already got his hand halfway up her leg. You were like, look at how fast he's moving. And that was the very first set of the night, was me like making out with this chick, pulling her
mm-hmm.
away from her friend, having my hand up her leg, whatever. And then I thought, well, the night cannot end here. This is just number one. This is how it's going to start. So,
Yeah.
took her number. She was immediately hitting me up. But we just had a lot more work to do. And I'm trying to remember as much as I can. I know the night included just a hot 22-year-old Pilates instructor from New Jersey. There
Well,
was,
let's keep it real here. All these girls are 20 years younger than you at the very least. I mean, we're not, this guy's
yeah,
not ripping open and tearing open, 46-year-old women. It's not even close, which is, I mean, that's the dead honest truth. And it's mind blowing to see, because guys in his age range and bracket right now in Miami, and quite frankly, everywhere, are kind of playing that money game and the transactional thing if they are walking around
right.
with these girls. And this guy's doing it on a natural level, at a primal level, which is just remarkable to see. And it gives me hope too, as I get older, that listen, this could be done. I was at the mall tonight for a quick example. I got a hot model 18-year-old. I mean, dude, it's incredible. I was with one of my other clients, D, and he was like blown away. He's like, this is really sustainable throughout, as you get older, especially with all the advancements we've come with technology, TRT and all that stuff. It's incredible, man. Take care of yourself and it will pay off.
Sure, but the big thing is that you can get away, and Scott, this came directly from Scotty, is that you can get away with so much more at night. Or
Mm.
at least I felt that way. And then I'm riding this high. All these chicks are hitting me back. There was like that. By the way, guys, I'm somewhere between 5'10", 5'11", and I
Hmm.
stopped that like 6 foot tall blonde Argentinian model and had her in the middle of the street. She was hitting me back. I actually had too many numbers, and I had to fly back to my hometown for a family thing. I really had like a logistical crunch. It was a little taste
Mm.
of what these girls get every single day. It's like I had almost too much to handle. I was just talking to Scotty earlier today and telling him, yeah, like I'm still scheduling in. I only got one of them in, which was a crazy date, which we've got to talk about. But I only got one of them in of the 11 numbers, because everything else, it's like I still have 4 or 5 live ones that I just got to squeeze in tonight. So it looks like one of them will be tomorrow, and I don't
Mm.
even know how much I'll be able to pack in for the rest of this week, because I have to be a normal human being too. I can't just plow out hot chicks day and night. But like I got stuff I got to do. I want to see my best friend. We're doing like actual life stuff. But Scotty really will just this was the biggest haul that we've had. And the crazy thing was, I'm riding this high. I'm 11 for 16. They're all hot chicks. I'm happy with all of them. Texting back with, I think it was like 8 of them immediately hit me back, an extremely high percentage. And you said to me, all right, now tomorrow, I want you to realize there's no difference between the club and the daytime. I want you 100% as aggressive as you were last night
Mm.
during the day, when we're like, there's no difference. And I was like, okay. You were like, no, dude, you were drawing wood on at least 2 of those sets. That's what I want to see during the day. And I said, okay. And we went out, and there was that the one that I've scheduled for tomorrow night, that super hot tiny Cuban chick did exactly that. I mean, we just kind of had our own thing going on, where you create your own little world in the middle of
Hmm.
the day, where you're both just staring at each other and pawing at each other. And that was a chick that immediately hit me back, just a hot 22-year-old Cuban chick, some poker waitress or something like that. None of these super hot Miami chicks have real jobs. Kind of how I prefer it. That's fine with me. That happened. And then you said, oh, dude, go, go, go. You actually spotted her before I did. And these aren't even your type of chicks, but we've spent so much time together now. You are picking out hot blondes, which are
Yeah,
normally just invisible to you. And
that's
you
funny, dude.
said,
Yeah. It is
You said,
funny.
go, go, go. It's coming off the escalator. So, I immediately just did my thing, stopped, had the physical reaction, we'll call it, had our hands all over each other, set up the date. She responded right away. And there were three or four more than there were, or two or three more than from that day, because I got pretty out of gas by the time we get to Lauderdale. And I want to talk about that as well, because, we kind of tried to stretch it. Scotty is extremely generous with his time. Even though I had only booked him for a night and for a day, he just really wants you to get the absolute most out of your sessions. So, like after we tore through Brickell City Center, we made a quick jaunt over to Fort Lauderdale, and I was really running low on energy. And because of that, had a totally different experience. It was like I was getting L after L after L, like 5 L's in a row. And you said, you see, dude, game is real, because the energy and the enthusiasm that you bring to it count for so much. You're no
Hmm.
different. You're the same guy that you were an hour ago when you were killing it in a more competitive environment with hotter, younger chicks. But see what you're getting now, just because you're running out of gas. And it's
That
a
was
real
when
thing.
yeah, that was actually to chime in quick. I mean, that was when you gave me the green light to go ahead and start opening too. Because
Yes.
usually D is one of the few clients that says, we've seen enough of you. I just want you to hyper focus in on me. And that was an aspect of coaching in which I really never implemented. No guy ever made that recommendation to me. So I was curious to see how that would run, because honestly, when I'm opening, a lot of creative thoughts are flowing. And I'm the type of guy, maybe memory is not my best thing. So, like, boom, when I'm doing it fresh in the moment, I can actually spit back some things. I don't know. The mind is going, and people are generally okay with it, but there's also a truth to, it's hard to separate emotional investment in these girls that I'm getting dragged into as well. So it kind of can take away from the analytical part of the client to a certain degree. So there's always a trade-off. There's a little bit of a trade-off. So we've been adapting that. And usually towards the tail end of our sessions, he gives me the green light to go. But the Lauderdale thing, he gave me the green light towards the end of the session. And I was having a hard time there as well. My battery was getting a little bit lower, and yeah, the energy just wasn't. It just wasn't hitting for either one of us. But I did hit 2 or 3 towards the end, and then we were like, "Yo, it's possible, man. It still can turn this around." So I'm really big on just like this never say die attitude, and you just, because I've just had too many reference points of taking L after L after L, and then bam, one sticks, and it washes away the rest of those L's pretty quickly. Once you grab 1 or 2 W's, really, they just outweigh the rejection, so to speak. So yeah, man. Chime in, go
And
ahead.
that's another thing. That's another thing about Scotty that's got to seem to be believed, is that he has an unbeatable mindset. His mindset is always, it just takes one more, one more, one more.
Mm-hmm.
He never lets one chick affect the next. I'm a tennis player, and it's an extremely important thing to be able to play just one point at a time. You've got to be able to reset. I really don't like it when guys relate game hitting on chicks and all this stuff to business. I really don't think there are that many parallels, but there are to sports, especially if you play an individual one. You have to
Yeah,
be
I
able
love the
to
sports analogies. The sports
reset.
analogies are great.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to reset after making a mistake, after just plain having one bad outing, one bad instance, one bad point, one bad shot, whatever it might be. You've got to be able to wipe it from the memory bank, reset, and play the next point. And it's the exact same thing when you're out there. And just like a sport, if your energy or focus, if any of that starts to flag, you might have been in the zone 5 minutes earlier, and suddenly you're out of it, and the mistakes start to pile up.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same thing when you're out there.
I think it was
So
the 2008 NBA Finals, and that I think the Lakers beat the Celtics, and I was just a Kobe fan or whatever, and Kobe was one of those guys too where it was just incredible. I think he got MVP and he shot like 8 for 25 from the field, but he was so clutch in the fourth quarter, hit a few of like the game winner. I might have been the game winner, or it was damn near close to it. He really, amped up his play. He was having a horrible game, and he really turned it up in the fourth quarter, hit some key shots, and he also added other value to the court. And I also can make an analogy with that too. With okay, let's change our motive. Maybe we're coming off a little too thirsty. If it's not an energy thing, and we're just coming off a little too thirsty, let's contribute to other things in the environment as well. Let's say hello to people. A couple smiles from a couple people can go a long way. Like there's other people we're living with here too. If we're such in a tunnel vision, it could come off a little like cringy and thirsty and stuff like that. So I try to incorporate as many other people that I'm sharing space with in the environment as possible.
You do.
You know what I mean? A hello here, a this, a that. You guys are the cutest guys. Something to keep other people involved and kind of shift the gear. And it does something to me mentally, and it does something to a lot of people too. When you get a couple smiles, you have to create a positive feedback loop. I think that's like an absolute necessity. And I'm not just talking, it's not, the brain doesn't really make that many distinctions. As long as we're basically in a relationship with the world. And if it's giving you good feedback back, from other human beings, strangers, they're smiling back. Oh, thank you, sir. That was so sweet of you. That was nice of you. I don't know. Even that little stuff can go a long way. And I'm a big proponent of that. So it's kind of like, yeah, Kobe was doing other things on the court. He's playing good defense. He was assisting to other guys. And you got to just, mix it up and be willing to get away from the ideal set or your ideal girl and just hunt her down. Spread the love a little bit, spread the positive vibes a little bit. I'm a believer in that.
Sure.
I'll probably never get away from that too, because when I get into a low, I need something to tap into in which I get some sort of positive feedback loop and can contribute in other ways, bring value in other ways to some of these other people. Or you're going to walk away from the whole day with more of a frustrated mindset if you're like 0 for 10 and you did nothing. Like you start to slowly detach from the outcome, and then bam, out of nowhere, you're getting a number, you're drawing wood, you're doing something comes out of that, spreading that love a little bit, widening your reach, so to speak, and spreading a little bit of love to other people as well. It's something I've implemented for a long time now.
Yeah, you really believe that, and I've seen you do it many times. But to get back to the sports analogy, the goal isn't always to just be in the zone where you can never miss, because that's not possible.
Oh, that was huge. Yeah.
Anybody who tells you this is just selling you something. It is not possible. Even Scotty, who is the best in the country, misses sometimes, because that's just how it is. Nobody makes 100% of the shots that they take. It just doesn't happen. You also have no idea what's going on with that girl at that time. You got no idea who's blowing her up. Her ex just, messed with her head that morning. She hates everybody. You have no idea what's going on with her.
I want you to ponder one really quick thing. Hold your thought.
Yeah.
I want you guys to all ponder something really quickly. Think about it. 98% of these women out on the street are not celibate. They're not practicing celibacy. Okay. So yeah, you're having to penetrate through their queue. They usually, if they are not in a serious, monogamous relationship, there's a queue of guys lined up. Okay. And there's sleeping with or hooking up with some other guy who's gotten an emotional leg up on you. So you really need to blow her away in order to penetrate that queue and rise up to like number one spot. You know what I mean? So they're not celibate.
Very good point.
You know what I mean? A lot of guys think that, that was a beautiful set. That was incredible. I hit every emotional trigger and all the attraction triggers. Like, what's up? Why'd she flake out? There's so many variables you said you don't know about, and they're not celibate. That means they're banging some other guy, and that guy has a leg up. He's got a leg up on you. That's just the way it is.
That's absolutely the truth. But the goal, to bring it back to the sports analogy, and Scotty and I agreed on this from the beginning. We had set goals that we wanted to achieve with me in a certain amount of time with the 6 month sessions, like regular sessions. And one was, I wanted my baseline game, so to speak, to come up. And I wanted to elicit emotional sexual attraction from the chicks that I wanted, not just, oh yeah, he seems like a nice guy. Here's my number.
Right.
That wasn't getting me anywhere. I don't work for the census. I don't care about your phone number or where you live. I'm not a phone number collector. That just happens to be a first part, necessary first part to bring things the way every man wants to bring it, with every woman that he's attracted to, that meets his standard and he thinks is what he's looking for. So that was our goal, and this is the very first time, not the very first time that we've got any of this feedback, but the first time it was so pronounced and consistent, where these chicks would immediately say things like, "Oh, wow," or Scotty, he pointed out, like I said, he's actually getting better at recognizing my type now than I am. We've been
Mm-hmm.
out so many times together. He pointed out this smoking hot blonde, and he said, "Go, that's like your dream girl."
Mm-hmm.
I go, step in front of her. She's getting off the escalator. I do my thing. Our hands are all over each other. I have the physical reaction. We get along really well. She's hitting me back right away, and she was super easy to schedule the date with. That was, I believe, last Tuesday or Wednesday. I can't remember the exact day. She was really easy to get out. Just took her to my regular place, and just immediate feedback, because I was ramping things up with her immediately. She whispered into my ear,
Mm.
"You're making me so wet. I knew you would be an animal when I met you." And it's like,
Yeah.
didn't get that before Scotty. Didn't get that kind of 20 minutes into the date. Didn't get that kind of feedback.
Even with the
And
dates, D also made a little bit of an adjustment too. As a side note
yes,
here, like he was doing the across from the table sort of old fashioned dinner date type of thing. And I was like, dude, the one thing you need to immediately change is you get side by side with the girl.
yep,
That stuff's got to be discarded immediately and start sitting side by side so you can ramp it up physically with them. So
made a
he,
huge
yeah,
difference.
that was big.
Yep. That made a huge difference. But again, Scotty was always there for me for, okay, now we're getting these chicks out. We're getting the reactions that we want. They're sexually attracted. They're hitting you back right away. They're eager to see you. What else is going on here? Like, Scotty really will diagnose you each step of the way until you're getting what you want. Now, in this particular case, I didn't close the chick. I actually got her all the way back to my apartment, did not close her. She just refused. It's a layup for the second time around, but something I know there are guys listening to this from all over the country.
Mm-hmm.
These super hot Miami chicks get to live like billionaires. A lot of them just take off and do travel, travel, fun, fun life practically 24/7. So, right after the date, she was immediately hitting me up, telling me, she wanted to see me again, all this stuff. But she was traveling to Montana to see Yellowstone. I don't know who's paying for that, but somebody's paying for that. And she was going to be there for a week. So it's like, yeah, I'll hit you up when I get back. And these are the kinds of logistical issues you run into if you want to go after super hot Miami chicks. It's just part of the deal.
Someone in their queue is paying for that. But yeah, they have rosters now and there's no shame in their game. I mean, I was on the airport in the airplane sitting next to like a mid black chick, to be honest with you, dude. And she's just flat out just telling me she's got a roster. And how don't you have a roster? I was telling her I had a girlfriend. I'm like, yo, I want to be faithful to her, blah, blah, blah. She's like, you don't have a roster? Like looking at me sideways. I mean, this is how open it's become now. It's not even Miami
Yeah.
Dimes. It's just your ordinary girl too, who lives in South Florida. They're just,
Yeah.
blatantly saying they have rosters. I was like, wow, this, I had an idea, I suspected it, but it also, like, the no shame in it is like, it's just become so normalized. You know what I mean? There's no repercussions for these young women, and it's encouraged everywhere they look. You know what I mean? Whether it's a TikTok post or anywhere on social media, like, have a roster, blah, blah, blah. And if you corner that, she was just being very, very transparent with me. But let's be honest, if you corner any one of these girls, they're gonna say, like, listen, I'm talking to a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys. Oh, he doesn't count. He's just the plumber. There's somebody they're chatting with, and he's in the queue, and he's a backup, and he'll, it goes on and goes on and goes on. But yeah, it's not just Miami Dimes. It's just the normal now. It's crazy, dude.
For sure. Yeah, there's no question. So I mean, for any of these guys listening to this is what you're up against. And do you
Yeah.
think it's going to get better or worse
Mhm.
with time? Because I only see it getting more and more competitive. There's less and less shame. You've got to do so much just to get in front of these chicks. You really have to make an impact. And Scotty's just made a night and day difference for me, because I'm a pretty resilient guy, and I was getting a little bit discouraged, which is what brought me to him in the first place. I thought, there really is nobody else. Me and Scotty were talking about this morning.
Mm.
Like, can you imagine if I went, I don't want to throw any shade in a, well-known whatever.
No,
I'll
let's
say
do it,
this.
please. Let's do it.
Let's just do it. All right, fine.
Yeah, yeah, let's do it. Fuck it.
Let's
This is a
just
small
do
this is a small channel. Maybe when it blows
it.
up, we'll have to monitor it, but
I
whatever.
I had, because he's the biggest guy on the internet, I had a free call to schedule with Coach Kyle. And I thought, this guy has a very different vibe and approach from me. But everybody says this is the only legit guy on the internet, and I should at least schedule a call with him, kind of see how he runs everything and the way everything would look. And I mean, it took me 5 minutes on a Zoom call with the guy. And he had this like weird fake black accent. He was like, "What's up?" And I said, "This is a professional meeting. You tell me. Don't you have any criteria? Like, don't you want to know where I am, what I'm experiencing, where I want to be?" He's like, "Oh, well, yeah, like all that." And the more he was asking about my situation, me and you talked about this morning. He seemed impressed by what it was already doing.
Yeah.
And, you were kind of laughing, like, well, yeah, pretty much any of these other guys, if they saw you in action the way you were before on day one, you would make their highlight reels. They'd be like, look at this guy doing this, getting numbers
No, here's the
from
thing.
these
Dude,
chicks.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've been around guys like this. I've been around with them a lot. I've been in the business. I've been in the industry. I've worked for dating companies. I've coached plenty of assistant coaches, quite a few. So I'm not going to throw any names under the bus here, but yeah, what they do with that, when you are really at their level immediately within no time, they just say, yo, dude, you're doing great, and just keep up the good work. Just keep grinding it out, keep doing the work. You're fine. They're not gonna spot things that I could spot. It's just that simple. Like,
No,
I'm very
no.
humble, but there's just certain things I've done in this game and taken things very, very sexual with women in a very short amount of time that they haven't done. They just never did it. So once you've actually experienced it and done it over and over and over again, I could see where guys are, falling short of that, just having a good conversation, socializing. That every dating coach is just teaching guys to just get in set and socialize with them, maybe get a number, Instagram, and get out. Like, they're not really, and that listen, like D just said, like you have to make a fucking impact. That's not big enough to make an impact. You know what I mean? That's just not going to cut it in
Not even
today's
close.
market. It's just not
Not
going to
even
cut it
close.
anymore in this market. You know what I mean? It's just not going to do it. It's just not going to do it. So it's like, yeah, I mean, I have the ability, thank God. I mean, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but there's one thing I could tell you is I've really, as society and my parents, everybody was telling me you're wasting your time. What are you doing out there running the streets day after day after day for 6 7 years, just every fucking day, never missed a beat. So this is something that I'm actually pretty proud of. I've done it, and now it just boggles my mind that I can make a living off it, because I never even thought that that was a thing. But yeah, I mean, dude, I've spent day and night doing this, like it was like my life depended on it. I mean, every single day, that's all I did. And I had a very, easy job working for my dad, very much custom tailored to fit a pickup artist's life, and integrating it into my life was piece of cake. So I never understood when other guys from the community would say to me things like, I'm going to quit, this is brutal. I didn't understand. Quit what? Yourself? Because you start becoming that fucking guy, and you're like, you're going to quit what? You're just out there in your day-to-day life, picking up girls, interacting with the world. It's just, I always revert it back to, all we're trying to do here is remember that college kid. Remember, the reason game even exists is because they observed naturals at one point in time. They've seen them in school or whatever, and they said, dude, what's going on here? And they formulated it and conceptualized it and put it into a bunch of words. But it came from guys who don't even know don't know the words of this stuff, and they're just doing it. They're cool dudes who have a lot of guy friends, have a lot of cool shit going on. Guys gravitated towards them, women, they just got girls as a byproduct of being a super fucking cool guy. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the guy you become and want to become. It's not a one trick pony by any stretch. D is a very well-rounded individual to begin with. So his baseline was pretty damn good, to a good starting point, to say the least. But the biggest thing I want to, so I don't forget, the biggest change that I personally have noticed during this 6 months
Yeah.
of transformation has been, there's no need for it doesn't require D a lot of social momentum anymore. He can literally now just bam, we're there very, very quickly. Like we're there pretty quickly. I'm at some point, it was more of a little bit of a buildup before we get there,
Yep.
but within no time, he's drawing wood on some girl in this. I mean, it's happens really, really quickly now. Now it's just like, it's becoming what we wanted, which is the baseline is now roll out of bed, cold, may not even be in the mood, and bam, you could just turn it on. It's become your autopilot, your default setting at a certain level, which is fantastic, which is where I'm at now. I don't need to go out and run tons of volume anymore. I was at the mall tonight with one of my other clients, and I shot 80%. It was just like, he's like, wow, that was
That's
very,
incredible.
very, very efficient night out, that, at the mall. That is kind of where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's remarkable that you just get to a level in which you can roll out of bed, you could be having a moody day, your girlfriend said something nasty to you, whatever's going on in your life, you can kind of just shake it off relatively quickly and perform really, really well out in the field, which is remarkable. So I think that's been the biggest shift. I think it's starting to become, and has become, your default setting. Now, is there still a little bit of room of improvement? Sure. Sure. I think just more repetition and more reps. Don't forget, we're expediting this process. It took me 6 years to turn on to have this default setting, doing it every day. Now there's an older Scotty. If I had a younger Scotty, it wouldn't take him 6 years anymore. I would be
Right.
guiding him, and it would probably take him about a year. I don't know. I don't know what the process. It's going to be a lot shorter. Hence the way what's happening to some of my clients. They could get to this level where it's autopilot default mode in a very, very short order. That's the goal. I don't want to have to, they don't have to go through all the blood, sweat, and tears. Sure, it's going to be hard work, but it's going to be a lot less. They don't need 6 years of every day in the field, trial by error, by yourself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now they have the older, mature, wiser Scotty, and that's expediting the process tremendously. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, you've already made the mistakes. You already know the quickest way to get there.
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, I know guys are always, what they're really interested in are the results. So, let's just talk brass tacks.
Yeah.
One is I have only ever had one session with Scotty where I was really off. I think it was a single day session. It wasn't even like a full thing that we did where I didn't get any dates out of it. I got like a few numbers. They were weak. It was when we were first started working together. And that was it. Every single other session, I scored at least one date out of it. This one is the biggest haul yet, where I got an immediate date with this super hot blonde chick who should come back around as soon as she's done doing fun travel with whoever's funding her, what funding Yellowstone for her. And five live ones, one scheduled immediately for tomorrow night as soon as I got back into town. I've actually been up since 3:15 this morning, guys. So
Oh my God,
I'm a
man.
little, I'm a little tired. My flight was at 5 a.m. That was the only time I could get back.
And he still
Um,
speaks incredibly well, and he sounds like he's got a ton of
uh,
energy.
I try, dude.
Dan, by the
Um,
D is one of my best friends at this point now. I consider him a great friend, and that's the beauty of
Same.
this brotherhood is really, your starting point with me is like at a vulnerable position. If you come to me extremely humble and you want to learn and soak as much knowledge in as possible, like that's a very good foundation for a friendship, and that's exactly what I'm doing. That was my ultimate vision, was to have some sort of a pickup house where I could put together a guy, two guys, and that's now has become a reality for me, where I'm
Yeah.
living with a guy. So that's I'm dude. I mean, I can't be any happier right now. I'm a pig in shit right now, and it's enjoyable, man. It's like, I'm acting as this guy's big brother essentially, and we're just, living our lives. And some of that energy is just transferable, really, even when we're not out and about, hitting the streets. He's still being around me, which I do think, accounts for something. That's what I
Oh, I'm
always
sure.
say to D
Yeah.
about, business. Like, we had one like business session where we met up and stuff out of 6 months, but I still have gotten
Where
a
I picked up
lot.
another chick just on the way to meet you.
Right.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. We had, in 6 months, we've had one like business meeting. And dude, I don't know, the way I handle finances now, and the way this is the best I've ever been in a financial position in a long time, just by virtue of just being around this guy or having a conversation with him. So I do think there's an effect of that. I used to hang out with a big meditator who was a peaceful kid, an Indian gentleman. And I just always felt like I wanted to be peaceful around this guy and meditate. So like there is this transferable effect. You are the summation of the five closest friends around you, I guess. So like
Yeah.
there is something to that.
There is. That's absolutely true. But yeah, getting back to, I think what a lot of these
Mm-hmm.
guys are going to want to hear, they're like, okay, fine. What are the results? So
Right.
two things. One, 11 for 16. Eight of them were immediately hitting me back. One immediate date and another one scheduled, and there are three more that are live. I would say out of that, it's reasonable to expect that, out of the whole haul, I'll go out on 4 or 5 dates, all with super hot young Miami chicks. And they all play on my terms. And the most important thing is, right after I picked up that super hot blonde chick, there was another super hot blonde chick, did the same thing, hit it off. But I was talking to Scotty about this. When she was texting back and forth with me, she was just acting super entitled and rude.
Mm.
And in my opinion, the mistake all these guys make is that they try to, quote, game the chick and work her and get her around. And I was like, look, dude, I was even sending you screenshots. Like, this is just a rude chick. I don't care what she looks like. I've got more in my queue. I've got more in my roster who are all nice and enthusiastic and just as hot. So
Right.
you can finally exercise choice with these chicks.
Yep.
And I think I told you, like, I at one point just started to kind of like experiment and mess with her. And I just said, what's your problem?
Yeah.
I was like, look, I've been like polite and fun with you, and you're not acting right.
Right.
And, just kind of threw her for a loop. And I was like, well, this isn't going to work. And she said like, yeah, I guess we won't be a match, and and that's it. So you can just kind of cut these chicks instead of being the guy that has to just a dog with a bone, just make it work because the leads are so thin or so few.
Yeah,
You
that's where the
want to
true power
be.
lies.
Yes.
That's where the true power lies, right there. I mean, you can't. There's that's the end goal right there, is to be in a to basically see the world through the lens of what the woman is experiencing on a day to day basis with abundance. They don't even think about gain, like it's just there, like they just inherent abundance with men. They laugh at this, they smirk at this inwardly because it's a joke. They have what the like you need to get because they have a hard time, like what's the word, like relating or empathizing with what a man's experience or what he's going through or what he has to deal with. Like they have a very tough time with that. But like that's the level in which we get to. I mean, if we even scratch the surface of that, it's incredible. You're in the 1 percentile of men in which they have like actual abundance and options to choose from. And that's where we all really want to be, so that we do make a really good choice with a girlfriend, that someone who is long term, because a man's normal lot in life is like single digit body count, maybe double digits, but he's just either grabbing a girl through a social circle, now online or whatever, and he just takes whatever he can get, really, and he settles, and he
Right.
doesn't believe deep down inside of his heart that he can go out there, hit the field, hit the streets, and get the volume, approach a beautiful girl that is his exact, archetype, and just walk up to her and create a relationship out of thin air. And that's how I have my girlfriend now. Really, it's remarkable. It's like I was not wasn't gaming at all. I was on vacation with my father looking at real estate. We were checking out of a hotel, and all of a sudden, bam, she walked by me in the hotel, and I just did my normal thing. And you know, she was my exact type. I would say, yeah, she meets the looks threshold for my girlfriend. And she's now my girlfriend, but coming from a place of choice and abundance. So like whenever there is
Right.
issues or during that vetting period, she really understands that I'm willing to walk away. And that's a
Right.
position of power too. I'm willing to walk away if you do not respect my boundaries. Like, period. That's it. So it feels really good to have that in your arsenal, really, and just to stay true to your word with that, where you don't buckle, at the knee
No.
for every little fucking thing they do. You can't. You're going to be humiliated. It's the worst place to be in life, man, where you just feel deep down inside that self-worth. You can't pull something better. You're just, I'll do with you at anything. You'll deal with all of her bullshit, and a girl will smell blood like a shark and will continue to walk all over you. Okay. They do that at the
You're
very
absolutely right.
beginning stage too. It's just on a greater scale when you're now in a relationship with a girl. But it starts at the very beginning. You're setting the tone at the very beginning. And if you're that dude and you're congruent with what you displayed initially in front game, the back end should look similar in a sense. Sure, you become a little bit nicer and cooler. The guard comes down, you guys already fucked and all that stuff. But at a deeper level, I don't talk much about relationships. But now that I'm in one, it really is the same thing. Like, you still have to just be willing to walk away. If she acts out of line, a lot of that stuff is already displayed up front within a 10-minute conversation.
And they can't. There's no way to fake it.
No.
These chicks can tell when you're that guy sitting around thinking, well, I'll respond to her text in exactly an hour and 4 minutes, or whatever it is. It's something about it that they can sniff out. Whereas if you're exercising genuine choice and saying, I don't care. In fact, this chick, if you remember, we did a little bit of research. She didn't win, but she competed for Miss Serbia. I mean, she's 30 years old now.
Right.
So she was a hot chick. And you always laugh when I tell these chicks, like, that's fine. If you're not a polite, genuine person who appreciates what I'm doing and who I am, then go kick rocks. You just laugh every time when they send me these long paragraphs, and I'm just like, uh-huh, or don't respond at all. And you're like, they've never been treated like that in their entire life.
Yeah, dude.
And maybe they haven't,
It probably gets their
but
pussy wet. You know what I mean?
maybe, but I don't care. I
Right.
don't want that in my life. She's not going to magically change after I bang her out. That's who she is.
Yeah. Yeah. You're exposing them. You know, you're
I,
exposing these girls.
so, forget that, dude. But you are probably right that it's few and far between that'll say, okay, you want to act like that, you can kick rocks, get out of here. I don't care what you look like. I live in South Florida. There are a million hot chicks down here. I will never come close to hitting on all the hot chicks in South Florida. It's not possible.
Hmm.
I don't have enough time in the day. I don't have enough energy. It's
Yeah, dude.
not possible. And I mean, with the way Scotty's ramped me up, it's like all of a sudden now I'm booked up. But this is the other really important point that I want anyone listening to this to take home. It's a skill that has to be developed. Don't do a session with Scotty and then say, "Oh, D had 11 phone numbers and 8 of them hit him back, and he's scheduling 4, 5, 6 dates and beauty pageant chicks." And don't look at it like that. Everybody has a different starting point. Scotty is the world's number one authority on being able to see what raw material you're bringing to the table, what your strengths are, and where you need to level up. And some of this is going to take a little bit longer than others. There are certain guys out there who are maybe 6'3" and have Chad genetics and whatever. Okay, maybe it won't take them as many sessions. I'm a 46-year-old guy. I think I'm pretty decent looking for my age, but the
Yep.
age pill is a brutal one to swallow. I don't
Yeah.
look the way I did when I was 36. I'm 46 now, and that's just life. So it's going to take me a little bit longer to get what I want out of it. That's all there is to it. You wouldn't just work out once or twice if you're a 300-pound diabetic, in this case, riddled with approach anxiety, or it's been a long time, or maybe you've never even been with a girl that would match up with kind of girl of your dreams, it's not going to be an overnight solution. So, sure, I want to be able to give you guys honestly, hey, here are the raw metrics that I achieved. But really, what we were focusing on is what's the baseline change? What are these chicks responding to? How quickly can I go from 0 to 100 and ramp them up from 0 to 100? That's what we were looking at. And now, after 6 months of consistent effort, and working directly with Scotty, now we're finally starting to see that daily transformation.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, D is a very unique case. That's why this is not a cookie cutter approach by any means. And as a coach, this is actually what I really enjoy about it. You have to look at each case. It's a case by case basis. Whatever metric we want to go by about, oh, did he get better? Did he bang, such and such number of girls? And that's where, listen, if he wanted to run up numbers, he could really be doing that. You know what I mean? He's a faithful man. He's a God-fearing man. Like, so he's going for a very particular type of girl, and he has high standards. You know what I mean? So that's also something we're working with here. So they're flying through a filtration system, a filter system at the, once he gets them in his queue. And you know, listen, it's not usually the norm. Most guys are still willing to plow through a few that they even know possibly aren't long-term options, just two consenting adults having a good time together. But that's usually the normal. But with D, so it's a difficult metric to go by. I know, the audience here doesn't always like to hear, this guy's transformed, he's gotten a lot better. They want to hear numbers and this and that. What did he take down? Blah blah blah. Listen to me very carefully, okay? This guy, he's taken these girls, but then he has such a vicious, like a very rigorous filtering system in order to keep these girls around with him. He's looking for a long-term prospect. Has he taken a few down along the way? Sure. Okay.
Sure.
And he was fooled along the way because that's not what he really wants.
Right.
So his number, his lay count, so to speak, is a little bit lower during our 6 month process than probably the average guy who were to work with me. You know what I mean? So you got to
For
take
sure.
that into account. There's all these different layers to what you're dealing with. It's a case by case basis.
For
So
sure. But I'd
yeah,
rather be honest with these guys. I mean,
right,
they can understand that. I'm 46. I'm not 26. When I was 26 and not going to church, not that interested in God, not interested in much besides partying and getting laid, then that is what I did.
right,
So I understand when guys go through that, but I'd rather just be honest. I think the audience probably understands that I'm
yeah.
at a little different station in life. And also at my
By the way,
station in
this is the
life,
most the realest podcast that you guys will come across, educational wise, and we're morally it doesn't sit right with neither one of us to just sit here and fluff shit up at all. Like we're
right.
so transparent, and we're telling you guys the God's honest truth. We're not selling you a dream. It's going to take hard work, like depending on who you are, where how far along you are in this process, and you're not hearing this on the internet. You're really not. This is
No.
just the cold hard truth of the matter. It's going to be hard work. Look at even a guy like this. He's put together really well spoken, well over 150 body count, and he's at where he's at. It's taken him some time to find
Yeah.
the one, but we're getting him on the right track to find that one. You
We're
know,
getting closer and closer.
every
Uh,
session. This has been
you
the
know,
best
my
session by
friends are
far, dude.
always laughing. It really has. It really has. Normally you can expect kind of uneven progress. But for me, and I mean, I want your input on this, but I think it's simply because I committed to it at the outset. I said, look, this is what I want to do. I know it's not an overnight cure. So me and you will work regularly. And I just want you to really drill down everything that you're seeing. And I'll do
And you
everything
put
I
me
can to
through
put it in work.
you had that mindset, which was fantastic, but you didn't say that initially. It was after our probably first session. I think you were a believer and you were sold, and then you're like, yo, this is not going to be my only one. But you wanted
Right.
to see it, I think,
It's
initially.
true. That's
Yeah,
true.
to see if this was the right fit and the right guy for you, which I'm glad, it has been so far, man. So
Dude, you're the only guy. Like I said, anyone else out there would just be like, "Oh, dude, you're really good.
just stay,
Yeah,
just keep
keep
grinding it
doing
out,
it.
bro. It's gonna happen.
Volume. Yeah, keep doing massive approaches." No,
It's
like
kind
you
of
were the
funny when
only
I
one.
pull D aside during these sessions because, let's be honest, at this stage, it is few and far between. But when I do see something that can change and he can improve upon, it's like he's like, "All right, I'm ready. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen." I pull him aside and I lay it on him fucking thick, and then he just bam, he changes it up. He changes it up as a curveball.
I was never the smartest guy in the world. I was never the most talented guy in the world. But everyone that I've ever worked with, whether it was a business guy or a tennis coach, they always said, "You are coachable. You will
Yeah,
listen to what we're doing and you will at least try to do it
you're the
immediately."
most coachable guy that I've ever worked with, dude. To be honest with you, it's so quickly implemented. Sometimes I remember that one time I had to actually show you,
You
and this
did.
is when I was
Yep.
off
I know
limits. I wasn't just
exactly what you're
opening
talking
sets.
about. I
Yeah, yeah.
remember. Yep.
And then I did it. We were in West Palm. It was a slow
Yep.
day, and we had another one of the student with us, and I was like, dude, this is what it looks like. And then, oh, no, 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 I didn't even give you a heads up. You kind of got
You
brushed
didn't.
off by this one girl, and
And
I just,
you took the same shot. You took a shot at the same chick.
yeah, yeah.
At the
And she
same,
was
you were like, because I think I even half-heartedly said you're like, she wasn't into, and you were
right.
like, no, and immediate, and then you did it like
Right.
to the chick who had just been so-called approached by me 5 seconds before, and
Yeah.
for you, she stopped, lit up, did the whole thing, and I mean, it did turn out that that one was still unavailable, but the reaction was night
Mm,
and day. And I was like, you're right. Like, and that's a good coach as well. The guy that will listen to what you want, but give you what you need.
I love that.
And
And I think
that's
that's
what,
something we should touch on real quick because we brought
yeah,
this up now on the phone quite a few times about levels to rejection, right? I didn't end up banging a
Yes, you're
girl,
right.
but levels to rejection is important. It's a very key thing to look at, when determining where someone is at. Are you creeping girls out? Are you getting an interested but not available vibe? There's degrees to how you are being rejected, which I think a lot of people brush over. It's just they make it so cookie cutter, and it's either you're in or you're not. Period. They're not getting that deep into, whether or not you're creeping these girls out. Either you suck or you are good at this. And that's not always the case, dude, because the game is hard and you need to know these things and know exactly where you're at. Like, dude, right now you may be having a tough outing, but they're into you, dude. Like I mean, I'm honest. You need to make corrections here. Or, dude, that looked pretty damn good. You've been performing really well today. Just keep at it. It's bound to change. And you just got to stick with it. But you got to look at, wait, you're right. A lot of these girls are smiling, lighting up, and interested. And, you know, they either have boyfriends, they're in a rush, they got to go. So, like, there's a lot of things in play here, but it needs to be looked at.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. A miss is not just a miss, right? In tennis, it's like, did you select the right shot? Did you just
Hmm.
happen to miss it by half an inch? Or did
Yep.
you pick the wrong shot entirely and you missed it by a mile? Those sure you lost the point,
Yeah.
but they're two totally different metrics
Huge.
should be applied. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
in the one case you did everything right, did everything you could, and maybe some little gust of wind cost you or whatever it might be, or you hit it just barely off center, whatever it might be.
She could
In
be
the
on her
other case,
period, right? I mean, there's
things
so
are
many
yeah,
variables.
things are just way off base. Another thing on exactly that topic, you said, I think it was during the day session, which was a really fruitful one, but I had like a 20-minute set with that chick who was having coffee, and I just sat down and started firing on her, that hot blonde chick. Kind of
Yeah.
remember this?
Of course I do.
And
Of course I
was
do.
doing my thing, but I was not as aggressive. Like my hand was on her knee. I was doing some stuff. And I could even see you in the background kind of shaking your head, like way too friendly, way too professional. And I wasted like 20 minutes with this chick, to talk about levels of rejection, where if they find you attractive and entertaining and whatever, they'll just sit there and eat up your time.
Right. That's
And
another
that
thing.
is
I think one of your sticking points at this point is just so baked into who you are as a person. In every category, you're a really likable guy, and you're a pleasant dude to be around. And
nice
I
of you to
think,
say.
like, listen, some of these blood sucking Miami girls, they don't need to, you don't need to be that nice to them, and I think that's where the little bit of an asshole stuff really, you gotta be in this game. It's a dirty game out there sometimes, and you need to read it properly. Not every girl needs princess treatment, and I think sometimes D has the tendency, just because he's such a likable, nice guy throughout his how he's, because it's a double-edged sword for him, because in business it's taken him to the top, but when it comes to picking up these blood-sucking Miami dimes, it's like that just want you for your money. It's like you don't need to be the nicest guy and pat him on the back and get him a drink and be so friendly to him. So I think he's still. It's just old habits die hard, especially when you just want to apply it to this one specific area of your life. But it's worked like a charm in everything else he's done. So it's just this one area that, dude, just turn on the little bit of the asshole mode here and get out
Yes.
if they don't. That's
Yes.
that's key for the next one, and I think,
And then there was no more of that. For the rest
yeah.
of the day, it's like, well, I won't be making that mistake again. That was
Hmm.
like 20 minutes burned. And if you remember, I had just gotten a different hot chicks number where I ran a really good set. And you were really happy with it. And because I spent so long with that chick in a public, prominent place, that chick walked past and made and locked eyes with me. And it's like, well, now that is burned. Which, I mean, kind of good problem to have, right? Where it's like, oh, you're firing on so many chicks and picking up so many of them that they might, see you on a little mini date with another one. I get all that. And you and I, last thing I really want to touch on before I got to go, we talked a little bit about the concept of pre-selection and how it works for you and how it works against you.
Mm.
And that's a very specific instance of how it can work against you. Me and Scotty were talking about how there's really two different types of pre-selection. We call it the player or the prince.
Mm.
And the player is the guy who like rolls into the club with already 5 chicks on his arm, right?
Yep.
Now, if a chick hooks up with a guy under those circumstances, it's going to be no big surprise to her if he's out there hitting on other chicks right in front of her nose. But what Scotty is teaching, the like knock her socks off, you're
Yeah.
really making an impact. It's this big romantic moment, this world that you're sucking her into in the middle of the day and
Yep.
pulling her out of all the nonsense and all the BS that she's dealing with in her day-to-day life. You're knocking her straight out of that and ramping her up. You're this prince. It's like you walked out of this romance novel with a little bit of an edge to you. Scotty, obviously, a little bit more of an edge to him than I have, but a
I
little
call
bit
it
of an edge to you.
the caught me by surprise moment and game. You know what I mean? Like you want to be that guy who, wow, you caught me by surprise. So you have to lean
Uh,
into that. Like you're you're in awe of this woman. You caught me by surprise because I don't do this. It's almost the I don't really do this. You caught me off guard.
yes,
I have to
yes.
do it. And it's like, stop. And you have to make a big impact. And it's like, this, go ahead, Dan. Yeah, you could finish
And
it off.
it works and it works great. But that fantasy is destroyed when she sees you doing it on the next super hot chick right down the block
Yeah, it
that you're
doesn't work
now
for
having coffee with or whatever.
you.
It's gonna spoil the whole thing. So yeah, me and Scotty came up with that. We call it the player versus the prince in terms of pre-selection. And you brought up the fact that just the fact that you can confidently walk up to a chick, physically escalate, draw wood, make, the heavily flirty jokes with her right off the bat and all that, that by itself displays a strong level of pre-selection. Just that level of comfort and that kind of action that you take.
Yeah, for sure, man. And we kind of got off guard here before we wrap this thing up. But like you said, you were about to get into the brass tacks about some of the percentages and stuff like that that have gone up and things like that. Did we end up touching on that? Because I feel like we did.
They've gone way up. I don't know if you just heard my computer ding, but another one. Do you remember the one from Sugar that you kept pointing at and saying, "Oh my God, man, look at that. Look at
Yeah.
that. Look at
Yep.
that." It was her. So like that chick just popped through. She's no more than 22 or 23. Just
Yeah.
another, smoking hot young Miami chick who says she's available tomorrow, but I've already got a different chick scheduled now for tomorrow. So I gotta work that chick in. But the raw percentages were 11 for 16. 8 of those 11 phone numbers hit me back, and 5 of those are viable. 2 of them are scheduled, about 3. So one of them I went out with immediately. That was a super hot blonde chick. She's getting flown around by some rich dude. So whenever she comes back, which will be later this week, we'll hook up again. We've been texting, but I don't know, dude. I don't know how excited I am about that anymore.
Yeah.
Once they just live that life, and then 2 more scheduled, and now this chick that just hit me up as we were doing the call. So that'll be 3. But there's still a couple more that are hanging out there that are still live.
Yeah. I'm
Of
getting
the
my
ones
phone
that
blown up too.
fell, yep, yep. Of the ones that are that fell over, only one didn't respond. I can't remember which one it was. Only one didn't respond. One I wasn't that into. If you remember, it was the darker complected chick. She is a beautiful girl with the huge tits spilling out. She was like 6 feet tall. Do you remember this chick? Spoke French. She was like from Dubai or something. Do you remember this?
Yeah, yeah, I remember this. I remember her. So she,
Uh, Ramped her up. She started just blowing me up.
Mm,
And I just wasn't, she's not, it sounds bad, just not really my ideal type.
right.
But super nice girl, hot Miami chick, just I can't squeeze her in. So
This is what makes D a very unique case because honestly, truth be told, I mean, if I would take this to my grave, if he was just an ordinary guy or just even someone like me, he would be running through a lot of these girls. His numbers would be a lot higher, to be honest with you. And I think this is the exception. And guess what, though, guys? Since you're not, you know, if you're not as religious or as rigorous when it comes to a long-term partner and you're looking to get some more experience under your belt, this is what you guys have in store to look forward to because these are all gimmies, that he could take. And he might, like you just said before, like the hot Ukrainian chick who, I think she has a kid, but like he boom, that cuts her off for him and in terms of long term. So he may or may not go for her, and just go for the close there. But that will be up to him. It's his judgment call at that point. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I mean, too bad. We had great, physical chemistry and all that. But
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I'm looking for something specific. I don't try to foist my morals on anybody, but I personally just don't think that it's a great idea to be rampantly running through chicks. Those are just they don't align with my morals. I've tried to change that
I
about
respect that.
myself.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta
So
respect that. Which is
you know,
really cool
I
that
try.
that I have a client like that still sees Scotty, who's, described as this total fucking as described on Good Looking Loser scumbag, and will just burn through as many as possible and has like a very low floor, like, and we happen to link up and be like really good friends. It's crazy, dude.
Because you're a good dude.
It's a crazy pairing, but it shows me that there's a lot more depth to who I am. I mean, call me what you want, but I'm very versatile out there.
Yeah,
I could be a
absolutely you are,
gentleman.
dude.
I could be a gentleman to these girls, and I think I have a pretty good, moral compass, and I've been raised by two wonderful parents and stuff like that. I've
Yeah.
come, great
Yep.
childhood, so it's not just speed demon, sex god type dude. I could do a lot out
It's
there.
true.
Yeah, I could do a
It's
lot.
true. And I mean, we always have fun with that. When we meet chicks together, we
Right.
always say, like, what? Don't we look like we'd be friends? And the chicks always look weird. And then I always say something like, you know what's funny? I'm the drug dealer and he's my criminal defense lawyer. You'd never know it. And
Right.
they kind of look at us all, every time like, is he being serious?
Right. It's fucking hilarious, dude. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Is there any closing thoughts or anything else we forgot, man? This has been a
Yeah,
hell of
closing
a
thoughts is simply this. It really is this simple, guys. You have to have a vision for what it is that you want, no matter what that is. If you want to burn through a bunch of chicks, there's probably not a whole lot I can do to dissuade you from wanting to do that. If you want the right girl for you, it's probably going to be a little bit of a slog, but totally worth it. If you just want to date around and then pick the right one, whatever it is, you need to have a vision for what it is that you
mm,
want. And then B, you have to actually do it, which means booking a call with Scotty, getting an assessment from him, and then getting out here and actually doing it and actually making it a part of your life. If you're not doing those two things, you may as well do nothing. So you need to know where you are, where you want to be, and then you need to actually do it. You do those two things, it's just a two-step process. You will get there. It's impossible for you to lose. You
yeah.
will get there. It's just a
And
matter of time, and you'll have a lot of fun along the way.
yeah. And like this is the thing, like the doing becomes you. Well, how could I put this? Yeah, like it's not you doing game as a separate thing, like a lot of guys have. They throw on a cape and they go do game,
Right.
and it actually
Right.
becomes who you are. You are that guy, and you can roll out of bed, you could do this, you could do that, and it's just always with you. This
Right.
new person is what is born. This authentic, authoritative person has become you, and it really applies everywhere. And you laugh at all these questions like, oh, well, what about this situation and that situation under these circumstances? You don't, you laugh because it's like it's who you are.
Yeah.
You're a well-rounded individual who just happens to have a lot of swag when it comes to women, knows what to do, when to do it, what buttons to press, and the whole nine. Like you just become that guy, really.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. And there's just nobody better to learn from than Scotty. He's just absolutely the real deal. It's a force of nature. I mean, I still, after all this time, have to laugh at how committed he is when he's out there. It is like he is a professional level athlete. Where if I take 2 or 3 minutes to sort of pat myself on the back and be like, "Oh, well, that was a good set," or, like, "That chick was into it," you'll be like, "Yeah, great. Why aren't you just ripping open sets, bro? Like, look around. Like, we're burning daylight here. What let's get moving."
Yeah,
So,
and I
I mean, he
appreciate
will he will really keep you on track.
appreciate that, man. And I appreciate all the kind words. I know you really mean it. And it's like the one thing about me is I've come, I guess, from humble beginnings. I mean, I had a good parents and everything, but I really went off the deep end with that. It's like it's funny when people are from loving parents, you can go one or two ways. You're just this angel of a person, or you almost take advantage and test how much they love you. And I think me and my sister really tested that envelope, and I got into a lot of trouble as a kid in my 20s, and not even as a kid. I was in and out of all sorts of things. So I have a to be doing this for a living is it stopped me from all that. It's like this is a gift. I can't believe I'm even this is a thing that I could be rewarded for this. This is amazing. It's like a full circle story for me, and I do put a lot of heart and love and attention into it because it's like it almost saved my life in a sense. Like it really did to help people and help them see, them get their dream girl, which a lot of them have. There's no better feeling. I really want them to have more success than me. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart,
He
I'll
really
give
does,
them a
guys.
guy. I do. I'm done. I don't even care. I'm done. I wave the white flag. I'm over. I really don't care what happens. Sure, I get a girlfriend, fine, but I really want them to get to the level I got to, which is to be able to roll out of bed and it's your default setting, your new baseline. You don't need to go run volume. You don't need to go do game. You just are that guy. You can, at any point in time, you could go out there and you could just turn it on and get the results and the options you deserve and you want. So it's an honor to me to be able to be making a living off of this. It's a joke to me because it's like, man, what I had to go through and I've been through in life, this is a dream come true for me. And I want more for my clients than I do for myself, to be honest with you.
I know you do.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I do appreciate it. So listen, that's about it, man. We hopefully we delivered some good value and some good entertainment. And yeah, guys, just get on board, take action, man. That's all I could say is be that young Scotty who at 21 years old, you know, was very fortunate and got dragged to a boot camp. I was for it, but I wasn't, a friend of mine really convinced me to do a boot camp, and it really got the ball rolling for me. It opened my eyes to this whole underground world, so to speak. And I think the biggest thing it did for me was kind of gave me permission. Like this was okay now because it's hard out there. Society says not to do this. You know what I mean? There's a lot of resistance you face every single day to stay in your lane, leave people alone. Look around you the next time you're at a mall or a grocery store, and look how many guys turn their head at an attractive girl and there's no chance. They don't, it doesn't even, they don't even consider that an option, which is so sad to me. It could be their dream girl and they won't do it. That's
Yep.
how big of a resistance it is to penetrate that and go beyond it. So it's important. So yeah, take action, man. Do it, do it, do it, do it. This stuff will change your life. It will open your eyes to things that you've never seen. The first time I did a boot camp, it really felt like I took a natural ecstasy pill where it unlocked something in me that was buried and suppressed for years. And I felt like I had some power back, that I could actually do this. I'll never struggle with getting a girlfriend or getting laid ever again. I don't have to
Yep.
fucking resort to jerking off. Like there's so much, it will torture your life for the next, for the rest of your years if you don't take action,
And you
so
don't have to settle for some chick who's just going to treat you like shit because she looks good because you think that's the best you're ever going to do.
exactly. Exactly. You know that you have five other girls in your queue that look just as good as her, and you could keep racking up the volume if you really need to.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well,
All right,
all right,
boys.
ladies and gentlemen. Pleasure talking to you, D, as always. And
Thanks for having me on. It was great. Great talking to you too.
all right, bud. We'll talk soon, man. All right,
All
guys.
right.
Take care. Bye.
Bye bye.